Okay, so here we are in section 3.5. We're going to be going through numbers 20 through 27. Starting with 20, we are going to be writing an equation of the line that has a slope of m equals -3 and goes to the point -4, 6. So something that's going to help us with all of these problems really is to remember that the equation y equals mx plus b. So m is the slope and b is the y-intercept, and this is what we're going to be doing for writing equations of the line. But what we need to do is we don't have a b for this first part. This first question. We only have an m and we have an x and a y. So what we can do to find the b is we can plug in everything that we know and then solve it for b. So starting with this first one, we are going to be doing y is going to be 6, our m is -3, and our x is -4. And then just remember that this is all plus b. Okay, so then when we, sorry about that, 4, when we go about solving this, we can start by multiplying the -3 and -4, which is going to equal 12. And then you have 6 on this side plus b. And then of course we want to get b by itself, so we're just going to subtract 12 on both sides. And we should get -6 equals b. Okay, so then when we are writing the equation, we're going to leave y and x the same. But then for the m and the b, we are going to write those in from what we found. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have y equals, and then -3 is our m, x stays the same. And then our b is -6, so really we're subtracting 6. And this is the first equation for number 20. For 21, we're going to be doing the same thing. So we're going to plug in what we know, which 6 is the y, 5/8 is the m, and then that's all multiplied by the x of 3 plus b. Okay, so then we're going to go ahead and multiply these two together again. So multiplying fractions just go straight across. So 5 times 3 is 15, and then 8 times 1 is 8, plus b equals 6. Whenever we have a fraction, I like to get rid of the fractions right away. So I'm actually going to multiply both sides by 8, because when we multiply that 8 by the fraction, it's actually going to get rid of the 8s altogether. So 8 times 6 is going to be 48. And then, of course, multiplying by the fraction, we're just going to be left with 15. And then 8 times b is going to be 8b. Okay, so then we're just going to subtract 15 from both sides. We're going to get 33 equals 8b. And then we can just go ahead and divide 8. And so our b is going to be equal to 33/8. So again, when we do an equation for that, we're going to leave y the same, have the m be the 5/8x, and then of course plus 33/8, the b that we just found, 3/8, there we go. And there is that equation for this number. Okay, so then going on to 22, we have m is 0 and x is 1 and y is -3. So when we do this out, we're going to have -3 equals the m, which is 0, times the x, which is 1, plus b. This one's a little bit easier because when we do 0 times 1, we're just going to get 0. So really what we're left with is b equals -3. So then going to put that back in the equation, we have y equals, when your m is 0 and you have 0 times x, we really can't do that because 0 times any x that you put in here is going to be 0 anyway. So we don't even have to write that part of the equation, and we can just put the b, which is going to be -3. And this makes sense because that kind of graph does have a slope of 0. It's just a straight across line that goes through y equals -3. Okay, so then there is the equations for the first 3. Going on to number 23, we have the equation of a line that is vertical and goes to the points 2, -4. So we can't really do the same, we can't really do the same tactics because a vertical line, of course, is going to be an undefined slope. And we can't really put that into, words, or I guess an equation in this case. So what we're going to do is we can just think about it, that the line is going to look something like this. So just straight up and down. And so straight up and down lines, they have an equation that starts with an x equals and then a number. So for these lines, really it's just going to cross wherever the x-axis does. And since there's only one x for all the points, we can just go based off the point that it gives us. So our x is just 2. So really the equation of the line is just going to be x equals 2. All right, so then going on to the next one, we have write an equation of the line that goes through 0, 1, and 5, negative 3. Okay, so in this case, it doesn't give us the m, we actually have to find it. So we're going to bring back the slope formula, which is the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we need to remember that one and the ymx plus b. So we need to remember both these formulas when we do the next couple of lines. So doing this first one, I'm just going to go ahead and label this x1 and y1 and x2 and y2. So then when we plug that into the equation, we're going to have negative 3 minus 1 on top and 5 minus 0 on the bottom. So negative 3 minus 1, negative 4, and then on the bottom we have 5. So our slope is going to be negative 4 over 5. So then when we plug this into this equation now, we're just going to take one of the points that we have, which in this case we could take 0, 1, and we can just go ahead and plug that in. So y is going to be 1, the m is going to be negative 4 over 5, and the x is 0 plus b. Okay, so in this case, 0 times any number is just going to be 0. So really all we're left with is b equals 1. Which we could have gotten as well if we realized that going through the y-axis here, a line has to be, the x has to be 0 if we want to find where that y-intercept is. So we could have also just realized that 0, 1, well, 1 is just going to be the b, or your y-intercept. So then we're going to go ahead and write the equation. So we have y equals our slope of negative 4 over 5. X, and then plus 1. And that takes care of that equation. Going on to the next one, again, we have 2 points. So we have 1, 7 and 3, 11. I'm going to label this x1 and y1, and x2 and y2. Okay, so then I'm going to go through the equations. So y2 first, so we have 11 minus 7 on top, and then we have 3 minus 1 on the bottom. So this is going to give us 4 over 2, which when simplified down, it's just going to give us 2. Now we have a slope of 2 for number 25. And then when we plug that into the y equals mx plus b formula, I'm just going to take the lesser numbers of 1, 7. So y is 7, and then the slope is 2, the x is 1, and then plus b. So now we have 7 equals 2 plus b, and now we just subtract 2 on both sides. So now our b equals 5. So when we're plugging this back into the equation, remember to keep y the same, and then 2 is our slope attached to the x, and then plus 5 as our b. And that takes care of that one. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and clear my drawings. But remember the equations that we're using, which is the y2 minus y1 and the x2 minus x1. And then we also have y equals mx plus b. Okay, so then going on to number 26. So again, we have 2 points that we're going to find the slope with. But now it says, what is the y value when x equals 9? So pretty much what this is saying is find the equation, and then after you found the equation, plug in 9 for x. So to do this, I'm going to go ahead and label these points. So x1, y1, and then we're going to do x2, y2. Okay, so then plugging it into this equation here, we have -2 minus 7. And then on the bottom, we have 1 minus 4. So then what we're going to come out with is -9 on top and then -3 on the bottom. When we divide that out, it's just going to give us 3. So our m is 3 for 26. When we plug it into the y equals mx plus b formula, I'm going to take 1 and -2 for our numbers. Let's do -2 for the y equals 3 as the m times the x, which is 1, plus b. And then that's going to be 3 equals -2 plus b. And then we're going to subtract 3 on both sides. And so that gives us a -5 equals b. And then of course, so we have our slope and we have our b. We can plug that back into an equation. So we have y equals 3x minus 5. Okay, and then of course we're not done because now we have to find the value of y when x is 9. So we're just going to plug in 9 here. We have 27 minus 5. So our y is just going to be 22. So we have two answers to this because we have the equation and then we also have the answer after we plug in the x. Okay, going on to the next one, let's read through the problem. The number of lung transplants in year 2 after they were possible was 113. In year 12 after they were possible, there was 248. Use the points 2, 113 and 12, 248. Predict how many were performed in year 16. Okay, so this is just a fancy word problem for pretty much what we did in number 26. It's giving us 2 points, so we have to find the slope using that. And then it's saying predict how many were performed in year 16. So really what it's saying is what is the y value when x equals 16. So we're just going to go ahead and let's start this out. So I'm going to label it x1, y1, x2, y2. And then let's plug that into, of course, the y2 minus y1 formula. So you got 248 minus 113. And then we're going to have 12 minus 2 on the bottom. So then on top here, let's see, so that should give us a 5 here, a 3 here, and a 1. So we have 135 on the top, and we have 10 on the bottom. We can simplify this one if we divide both of them by 5. So on the bottom, we're going to have 2, and then on the top, we should have a 27, I believe. Let me plug that in. Yep, 27. So our m is going to be 27. Oops. M is going to be 27. Is going to be m is going to be 27 over 2. There we go. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and plug that into the equation. So I'm going to use 2 and then 113 as our points. So when we plug that into y equals mx plus b, the y is 113. The m is 27 over 2. The x is 2. And then plus b. So we're kind of lucky in this case because the 2's are going to cancel out each other. We just have 27 equals 113. And then we add that b. We're going to subtract the 27 on both sides. And then when we do that, we should come out with 86 equals b. All right. So we have 86 as our b, we have 27 over 2 as our m. So the equation we're going to use is going to be y equals 27 over 2x, and then plus 86. So then we're not done. This is just one part of the answer, but now we have to plug in 16 to that equation. So when we plug in 16 there, we have 27 over 2 times 16 plus 86. So 16 is going to cancel out with the 2 and it will become 8. So we have 27 times 8, which is going to be 216. And then plus 86 is going to have 302. So both answers is 302 and the equation right here. And that takes care of 20 through 27.